So, welcome back everyone. Myself Shubham Shukla welcomes you all to our session talking about our environment. So, in the last session, we have left on the example. So, we will continue from there. Let us try to understand the concept of environment with an example. And in this podcast, I don't have a figure to show you, so you can consider it by yourself. So, can you identify the environment of a carp fish in the pond? Its environment consists of abiotic components such as light, temperature, and water, in which nutrients, oxygen, and other gases and organic matter are dissolved. The biotic environment consists of microscopic organisms called planktons, as well as aquatic plants and animals and decomposers. The plants are of different kinds, such as floating, submerged, and partially submerged plants, and trees growing around the edges of the pond. The animal consists of insects, worms, mollusks, tadpoles, frogs, birds, and various kind of fishes. The decomposers are the saprotrophs like bacteria and fungi. Till now, you might have realized that the environment is not static. The biotic and abiotic factors are in flux and keep changing continuously. The organism can tolerate changes in environment within a certain age called range of tolerance. So moving ahead, we have here components and types of environment. After discussing about the concept of environment, in this section we will discuss about components, types and significance of environment. So talking about components of environment, what comes first is the environment comprises of abiotic, which means non-living, and biotic, which means living components. Some example of the abiotic and biotic components of the environment are listed below. Talking about abiotic components is light, and biotic components is plant. Second is humidity and water, and in biotic, animals including humans, parasites and micro. In abiotic, temperature, atmospheric gases, seasonal change, topography, and in biotic components, organism and decomposers. So the physical components set the condition of the survival of the biotic components, which in turn take care of the maintenance of the environment. Linkages among components of the environment are pathways for the flow of energy and cycling of materials. For example, green plants obtain essential resources from the physical realm, water and minerals from the soil, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and the light energy from the sun, and manufacture their food. Animal depends on plant and other animals for their source of energy and food. We, the human being, in turn harvest the land and the seas for our food and obtain minerals and fuel from the earth's crust. Now we will learn more about these later in this course. Coming to types of environment is like recall the definition of the environment and consider a fish living in a natural pond, which we have already discussed in the previous section. Its external environment will be the water in the pond, which is primarily inhabits. The word water would contain nutrients, oxygen, and other organisms that the fish require to sustain its life. As opposed to the external environment, the body cavity within the fish provides an internal environment quite separate from the outside environment. The body surface act as an exchange barrier between the internal and the external environments of the fish. The internal environment is relatively stable as compared to the external environment. However, illness and injury or even environment stress can upset it. But when the cause of the disturbance is removed, the internal environment comes back to its original condition. Now, the pond which the fish inhabits is its natural environment. The abiotic factor of the pond, like light, temperature, depth, nutrients, and dissolved gases will provide the life supporting chemical and physical factors for the fish. The other living organism inhabiting the pond like bacteria, insects, worm, mollusks, tadpoles, frog and aquatic vegetation could be food for the fish. Example of such natural environments on land includes forest, grasslands, savanna and deserts. So far we have discussed only the natural environment, but there are several components of the environment which are created by human like crop fields, cities and industrial spaces. These are places made artificially by human through planned manipulation for natural environments like oceans, lakes and ponds, rivers, forest, grasslands, desert, etc. And human modified environments are orchard, plantation, sanctuaries, park, etc. Human made environment are industries, cities, town, crop fields, artificial lakes, dam, etc. Example, let us consider a city. The city environment is totally created by human beings. One of the most important components. Water is not taken from the streams directly but is first filtered, purified, then used for drinking and other municipal purposes. The metabolic waste and the garbage are not disposed of locally but are carried for the treatment of dumping to remote place away from the city. Food for people in the cities often comes from rural areas. An environment made by humans result in consumption of excessive amount of material and energy, necessitating care, supervision, and management. So, coming to the significance of the environment for life, is whatever type of environment organism inhabit, they all need life supporting elements for their survival. This include air that they breathe, food and water they take in, and shelter either as natural, like caves and tree holes, or as artificial dwellings, like houses. Environment is only source that provides these life supporting elements. We make use of the land for cultivating crops. Soil provides nutrients needed for the growth of plants. The landform defines the landform determines the soil types found in any one area, and soil itself varies from place to place. Some soils are rich in nutrients and others are lacking in them. The soil lacking nutrients need the addition fertilizers. Climate and short-term weather changes are characterized mainly by wind, temperature, pressure and rainfall and are determined by the properties of atmosphere. Air in the atmosphere provides living organism with oxygen, without which survival is most of the living organism will be threatened. So here we will end up with our three parts which we have covered today. Our next session will cover human environment relationship.